Welcome back, guys, to SBS v2.1.1. This is actually the second part of the SBS showcase video that I wanted to do for you guys. I said that I would first of all do a video sort of showcasing the pack as it is now, and then an additional video going into some more detail about all the mobs and their abilities. Now, unfortunately, I have discovered some bugs in between this part and the last one, hence why there is now version 2.1.1. The one sub-update does actually introduce a few tiny new features in terms of like actual content, but it mostly does just work to improve performance once again. So one of the main things that I'm now struggling with these data packs is making them work efficiently. And unfortunately, that's just something that I can't really do much with at the moment unless I simply rewrote the entirety of this data pack. I'm learning a lot about data packs at the moment and what makes them laggy, what makes them performance impactful and other things, and basically kind of techniques to do things as best as possible. So yeah, obviously all my data packs are going to be very different in the future. They're going to use different techniques that are a lot more complex, that are more efficient, and usually doing things the more complex way is a bad thing, but if it does serve to increase performance, then I'm all for it, because currently the main enemy that you will compete against in SBS v2.1.1 is tick lag. Right now it's fine. We currently have all three data packs on, but you have to remember, mob spawning is currently off, so there is nothing really to be processed, and obviously we aren't experiencing a blood moon right now. If either of those two things are happening, then you will experience a bit of tick lag, unfortunately. The only reason for this really is because I'm using a very, very crap technique of doing randomizers, and it's not performing the way that I really want it to. I'm only just now realizing how these things work, basically. So all I can really say is they will work much better in the future, but I've gotten them to a point now where I'm pretty happy with the way they are. Obviously, the main changes that I've made for SBS v2.1 were the fact that the randomizers are only ever run once a second anyway, so the data pack is already 20 times faster than it would have been before if these updates are being checked for every 20 ticks as opposed to every second. So yeah, each patch I release with this update does increase performance a tiny bit, but I would say SBS v2.1 for the Blood Moon is a stable position now, and I'm okay to finish this off and say this is a finished product, basically. But yeah, SBS won't be receiving any more updates. I did speak about maybe a second lunar event being introduced, but frankly, I'm just like, nah, I just want to get rid of this and start on something else. So we're going to be done with this for a while now. But for all of you that do enjoy the features brought to the game by SBS, these features will be returning in a future project, so don't worry at all. Now, onwards with the video. I wanted to show you guys some cool mobs that we will be fighting during the Blood Moon. I'm sure you're wondering, why the fuck is this guy here? Well, yeah, he's supposed to be, trust me. So yes, I'm going to be going through every single one of these mobs here and explaining just about what they do in the Blood Moon. So first of all, we have the zombie. Whenever a zombie spawns, there is a high chance that he will just immediately spawn another zombie, and that's basically just to encourage the zombie siege mentality, so you're going to be overrun by Blood Moon zombies. However, they do actually have quite a high chance as well to spawn a husk instead of that zombie. So I believe currently it's about a 60% chance for a zombie, and a 20% chance for a husk, and a 20% chance for nothing. So zombies will very commonly spawn additional zombies. Skeletons are probably the most terrifying mob in the Blood Moon, once again, just because of what they can spawn. Now, every time a skeleton spawns, he can summon a stray, and we'll talk more about what the stray can do when we get to his little section in a minute. But yeah, he also has a chance to spawn a wither skeleton, and now when a wither skeleton spawns, he has a chance to spawn an enderman or a blaze. So whenever you spawn a skeleton, you can potentially get two additional mobs, be it the stray or be it the wither skeleton and an enderman or blaze. So there is a small chance that you can get quite a number of mobs spawning when you encounter a skeleton. In addition to that, skeletons will always have one of two bows. They will have a red Blood Moon bow, which has power 3 by default, or they will have a blaze bow, which has flame by default. So it's pretty cool. Basically, the skeletons now have a custom bow, which you can obtain. It's kind of like considered more, loot or rewards that you can only get during a Blood Moon. So if you wanted more, what's the word? Encouragement? Motivation? If you wanted more of a reason to fight a Blood Moon, then there you go. You can, if you fight enough skeletons, you'll be able to obtain 2 new unique bow textures. And I'm not going to show those off right here, unless I overlay some videos over this one, but I think I probably... Yeah, I think I will, actually. I think I will. But yeah, moving on from that, we have the Creeper. Now, the Creeper... That sounded really weird, didn't it? The Creeper. Juice, as he was once called. Juice now gets a lot of movement speed, so he's very fast. He also has a much shorter fuse timer, so if you try and fight this guy in melee rage, it's going to go very horribly wrong. Creepers will also leave behind a trail of blindness whenever they explode, so if you are caught up in the explosion of a creeper, or it's in the middle of a doorway or something similar and you have to run through, you're going to end up with blindness, which is quite a toughie, unfortunately. So you're going to want to fight creepers from range if you can. Spiders are pretty basic, really. Spiders only get given strength and speed, which means that they hit hard, but obviously they are, they don't really get any special abilities. They don't really summon too much of an interesting mob. They spawn cave spiders quite commonly, but that's about it. Cave spiders are a nightmare, as you'd expect, with their poison. Spiders are probably the most basic mob, if we're being completely honest, but they are still very cool. Obviously, they get like a cool bloodmoon skin as well, which you'll see in the distance with their glowing red eyes. Unfortunately, Optifine's emissive is still broken, so I will release another video when that's fixed and obviously update SDR, but for now, the emissive feature is missing, unfortunately. Moving on from that, we have the Husk. Now, if you remember correctly, the Husk is a 20% spawn chance from the zombie. Now, the Husk is called the Blazing Husk. He will be on fire. He will set fire to nearby blocks around him. There was originally a bug in a previous version of SBS where he would occasionally replace blocks that he was stood inside. So if he was stood inside a path block or soul sand, then it would turn to fire underneath his feet because it was using a set block command, basically. So now it will basically check to see if there is air in his location and set block there instead. So the Stray. Now, the Stray was a unique spawn that comes out of the skeleton. Now, there is a really cool custom trait for the Stray, and to make sure that it was balanced across all biomes, I made it so that the Stray ability is only actually triggered when the Stray is spawned by a skeleton. So if the Stray spawns in a cold biome, as they naturally do, then the Stray won't be given the ability. He has to be an additional spawn from the skeleton, which means that Strays will be, balanced across all biomes, basically. So you're not going to have a much harder Blood Moon fight if you're fighting in a cold biome. So what the Stray gets is pretty cool. He gets a helmet called the Sanguine Mask, which is pretty cool. The Sanguine Mask will apply a buff to all nearby Blood Moon mobs when he spawns in, and the buff will give them resistance to, and basically they will get that buff forever now. So if you kill the Stray, they will still have the buff, but he doesn't apply it to mobs that he walks nearby. It's only the mobs in his immediate vicinity when he spawns. Now, I wanted to make this work very differently, if I'm honest. I wanted to make it so that he was like, a center point and he would buff the mobs in a short area around him, but it was very laggy and I couldn't really figure out a good way of doing it. So unfortunately, it is just this spawn bonus, but I still really like it, and maybe we'll come back to this in the future and get some cool ideas out of that. Now, once again, with the skeleton, you had those custom bows that you could get if you fought enough skeletons. With the Stray, you can actually obtain his mask. So if you kill enough Strays, you will maybe get a chance to drop the Sanguine Mask. Now, if you're wearing the Sanguine Mask during a Blood Moon, you will get a huge speed and strength buff. And if you're using the Sanguine Mask whilst just in the Nether, you will also get a light speed buff as well. So probably the best item that you can get from the Blood Moon is this mask. It will immediately come with Curse of Binding, I think it is. So you can't actually take it off unless you die, which is kind of where the Blood Moon cursed lore bit comes into it. But basically, if you manage to get this mask from the skeleton, then you're going to have a huge buff during Blood Moons and whilst you're in the Nether. So it's probably the best item that you can get from this whole ordeal. Moving on from that, we have zombie villagers. Now, zombie villagers spawn phantoms at their location on a percentage chance once again. So there is about a 20% chance that they won't spawn phantoms, a 40% chance that they'll spawn 2, and a 40% chance that they'll spawn 1 phantom. And basically what this means is if you're in a village and zombies take over the village and convert them all to zombie villagers, then you could get 20 phantoms in the sky above you. That's kind of what this whole mechanic is supposed to be, because obviously zombie villagers don't really commonly spawn naturally, but if you're in a village and you don't protect your villagers well enough, then you could be in for a bit of shit with the phantoms. So that's kind of why this is the way it is. Apart from that, zombie villagers don't really do anything else, so they exist purely to spawn phantoms. They obviously also get the speed and strength buff that everything else does as well. Now, with the skeletons are an additional spawn off of skeletons. They don't get anything too special. If you have SMC installed, they can spawn with the wither bow, but obviously they can always spawn with the wither bow if you have SMC installed. And once again, they get speed, they get strength, and of course they have the chance to spawn in an enderman or a blaze as well. Cave spiders are the additional spawn that comes out of the spider. They just get speed and strength. They do nothing else. They're annoying as fuck anyway, so that's all that really means. Phantoms, Phantoms are pretty spooky. Now, some of you will remember, obviously, in SMC, I believe it was version 2.1, I actually added an optional module that was off by default to convert phantoms into what I said as were, phantoms, where phantoms actually fit their namesake, where instead of looking like this, like a blue stingray bat eagle thing, they would basically just be a pair of eyes and a huge clump of particle effects that would leave a really cool trail behind wherever they went. And hopefully, if I remember to go and get some videos of this in a regular world and overlay them over this video, then you'll be able to see what that looks like right about now. So yeah, Endermen are pretty spooky. They are inverted, which is quite cool. So when you find an Enderman, he will have pale white skin. And if a player is within range of an Enderman for too long without killing any Blood Moon mobs, he will teleport the player to his own location. So the Enderman is pretty scary. Honestly, this doesn't usually happen very much, simply because the Enderman won't really have a reason to stray near players unless you piss him off. But obviously what can happen is, if the wither skeleton that gets spawned by the skeleton spawns an Enderman, then the Enderman could just be chilling really near your base and you've got nothing you can do apart from just kill him or attempt to run away. So Endermen are sort of like scary in their own right, because if you see one and it's far away, it's like, okay, it's chill, just don't look at him. But if you see one just happen to wander a little bit nearby, then you can shit yourself, because he's going to teleport you right into the action and you're going to be fucked. So basically the Enderman serves to be a counteract to people just hiding away in their bases. Hence why, if you are hiding away in a base and you are continuously killing Blood Moon mobs, it will reset the scoreboard that counts up to him teleporting you. So if you see one within range and you have a bunch of mobs that you can kill, then you can actually reduce the timer by killing those mobs. And that is all the Enderman does. Once again, I had some really cool ideas for the Enderman, but I decided not to go with them in the end, simply because of things like lag and overcomplicating the pack as it is now. I had a lot, obviously, once again, speaking about the TPS lag and stuff, I did just get a lot of people saying, why don't you just make it more simple? And it's like, true, I could just make it, it doesn't need to be madly complex. You only experience these things once every 30 days, if not more, based on the randomizer. So it doesn't need to be really over the top. It's already a nightmare fuel enough as it is. But yeah, obviously then you have the Blaze. The Blaze does have no effects at all. He's really basic actually. But I'm sure you all know how annoying Blazes are. They really suck. So yeah, Blazes suck. Yeah, so that's all the mobs that you can find. You can also find Vexes if you stray above Y85. So if you're planning on hiding away in the sky to get away from the mobs, then you will find that you'll get a lot of Vexes spawning around you. Now, my reason for the choice of Vexes is because obviously they can fly through blocks. So if you decide to build up into the sky and just sit in a little dirt cube, you can do that, but you might find yourself being swarmed by Vexes if you don't do it right. Obviously, if you built it just under Y85, then an Enderman would still be able to teleport you out of that box. So that is kind of like the way to stop players from fighting this mechanic. If you are on a server and you have the Blood Moon installed, though, there is a way you can simply avoid the Blood Moon. If players just simply go into a different dimension or go underground, then they'll experience nothing. So basically, you can just avoid the Blood Moon if you want to. Obviously, you can't sleep through the Blood Moon, but you can just simply avoid it if you want to. Now, quickly, I'm just going to mention as well, in version 2.1.1 of SBS, I fixed a number of things. So first of all, there was a bug where players could actually still sleep during the Blood Moon because I changed around the detection system and it wasn't actually working. That has now been fixed. So if you try and sleep during a Blood Moon, you will actually get given the damage properly. Yeah, if you tried to sleep during a Blood Moon beforehand, all the players would sleep, but then when they got out of bed, the moon wouldn't move. So it was basically just kind of a broken mechanic, unfortunately. Now, again, if a player gets into a bed, they'll get given the red overlay, the demonic whispering, and given the instant damage effects like they are supposed to. And I've also introduced a new mechanic, which is that phantoms have a huge knockback bonus. One thing that I found that would be really beneficial from doing testing with a bunch of guys in the Discord is that if you are standing on barracks of a fortress or something, phantoms will get you because they're so dark with the particle effects that they will take you by surprise. And if they have the chance to just straight up knock you off the barracks with a huge knockback boost, then yeah, that sounds pretty cool as well. So phantoms are actually a pain now, because beforehand they were just kind of annoying. I didn't want to make it so that they just had loads of damage, because sometimes you couldn't even see them. So it was just sort of like, if they were basically invisible and they did loads of damage, it would be really annoying. But if they're basically invisible and they serve only to be annoying, then I'm okay with it. So there you go. So phantoms are even more nightmarish now as well. So yeah. So yeah, please do download SBS v2.1.1. If you experience any bugs or any TPS lag, please do let me know, because I am working constantly to try and increase the performance of these things right now. The next video that should be coming out should be SGT version 2.5. I know I gave a teaser for that one a few days ago with the End City Basement. I have finished up a lot of the other features in that data pack now, and we're just working on decorating the End City structure, basically. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this brief update for SBS v2.1.1, and hopefully you guys do experience some horrifying blood moons with this thing, I guess. So yeah. Hey, this project is so dumb. It's taken so much time to do, and it's not even that good. It's so bad. Yeah. You know what, I may as well talk for a second then as well. A lot of you will know by now, but I'm going to be starting work on a new data pack system in the next few weeks called Resurgence of the Void. But man, I need a break. I have been working on these projects pretty much non-stop for the past 2.5, 3 weeks, because I am starting a server up with some friends on the Discord group. Man, I have been working so hard on getting these things to work, and data pack stuff is so frustrating, especially if you're a newbie like me, because you don't know what you're doing, and you can look through an entire 20 pages of code and be like, yeah, this looks fine, this looks okay, I see no problems with this, and then you load into game and you have like 500 TPS lag, you know? Like, that's a common occurrence that happens like too often, and it's really annoying. But yeah, it's really, really annoying. I'm kind of cheating right now because nothing's happening particularly special. We're just a regular, boring old Minecraft day right now with not even like mob spawning on. But yeah. Hey, it does work though. I have done a lot of proofing with this. I've gone into like blank test worlds with all the game rules still set to default values. It installed just SBS on its own, and then SBS with my 2 other data packs, and done the whole thing with mods enabled as well. It's all working decently well, but it could be better basically. So it's yeah, but it's a finished project now, so I'm not going to be working on this anymore for a long time, for sure. But yeah, there's actually another project I wanted to work on in between the events of this and ROTV, which is called Dynamic Ambience. That was a project I had planned a long time ago, which would basically be like a data pack version of the mod Dynamic Surroundings. And maybe I'm going to start working on that one soon, actually, because that one sounds a lot more fun. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of SBS, and hopefully I will see you very soon for some more data pack and hopefully resource pack content. So yes, sorry for the lack of Celeste. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and bye-bye.